Hello out there in YouTube land, this is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you for visiting my channel. Today I'm going to do a special video by request. One of my subscribers, her name is Lady Day Moore, hello out there, and her question was basically as far as how do you shape your songs? You know, how do you write songs and structure? So I'm going to kind of do a series of these because I can't cover all of this in 5 or 6 minutes, but I'm going to just try to give you my insight on how I write songs. And how I started to write songs was actually, I guess this is my model for life of the way that I live. I see something that's successful, I try to emulate it. I look at it, I try to break it down, I try to determine what makes it what it is. And that's just been my philosophy for life, and definitely my approach to writing songs. So basically I studied the people that do what they do, you know, the entertainers. And I grew up in an era where we had these things. They called vinyl records. And this particular person here, actually, I just did a cover, or should I say a tribute to Rick James. And Rick James is probably one of the most influential people musically to me in my life. I learned a great deal of writing and my musical skills from Rick James, just studying Rick. And what was so cool about back in the day when we had these things, vinyl records, they came with this, which is the lyrics, you know, the lyrics to the songs. And that's how I actually started to learn how to structure my songs, by looking at the lyric sheet to say, well, what are they doing? And normally what they do is they do, there's like a format, but it tends to vary. But the standard format is usually your intro, your first verse, your chorus, and then your second verse, chorus, then bridge and chorus, something to that effect. Some songs are set up this way: intro, first verse, B section to the first verse. And what that is basically the chords in that part of the song has changed from the beginning, or from the top. So that's why they call it a B section, because the chord structure progression changes, but it's still a part of the verse. And I kind of like those songs. Babyface was kind of like the master of the B section. It adds a little more feel and a little more movement. And basically how I set up or structure my songs is kind of in that same way. And let me just say this first. There are a few components into completing or writing a song. It's the musical aspect, and then it's the arrangement of the music, as far as what is the guitar doing? Is there a second guitar? Is it doing something different? There's piano. Is it playing chords, or is it playing a melody line? That's arrangement. The second one is the lyrics themselves, and then the melody of the lyrics. So to me, as far as my personal writing skills, is the hardest thing is the lyrics to me. I can sit down and write music literally all day long. I mean, I can do that. It's the lyrics that takes a little while, and you might have to take a day or two or 3 days to complete that. In most cases, you can't nail all your lyrics in one sitting. And I don't recommend you trying to rush to do that, because what you end up having is garbage. Been there, done that. Sometimes it takes a great deal of time to just sit down and say, let me think out this idea from start to finish. And you will get better results that way. So the lyrics to me are the hardest aspect of songwriting to come up with. And again, take your time. Lady Day Moore also asked me about, she was having issues with kind of the story that she was creating. She started to stray from it, and she was trying to put the verse ideas into the chorus, which is important because your chorus is your link to your verses. I mean, the chorus is the part of the song where everybody kind of remembers, because it's a part that it repeats itself. You repeat a phrase like 2 or 3 times within that little measure of the structure. So it's usually the most memorable one. But I guess my recommendation to you, as far as sometimes the ideas get in the way, it just means that you got to put a little more time into the idea. Again, trying to sit down in one sitting and trying to nail out a whole song, in most cases you're going to end up with garbage. So I highly recommend it. Just spend a little more time with it. You know, take a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days. Sometimes what I do is I might come up with the hook first. or I might come up with the verse first, a part of it, and then I give it a day or two. I keep, going over it, and then I come back to it and say, what else can I add to this that's connected or related to the first part? And you're basically telling a story. So that's basically what you're doing, is telling the story. So time, when it comes to writing your lyrics, is very important. Give it some time, give it some thought. The longer that you give it time, actually the better and the more coherent your lyrics usually are going to become. So that is really my suggestion or recommendation, is instead of trying to knock it out in a day, spend 4 days. Trust me. If you put 4 days into it versus one, it's going to be a little more coherent. That's going to make sense. And that's all I can say is just keep doing it and you get better. There's no one specific formula to say, hey, this is how I do it and it's going to work. Just keep doing it. The more you do it, the better you get, the better the ideas come, the better the rhyme scheme, because that's important too, that it has to rhyme, but it also has to make sense. Now, there are some songs that have broken that tradition and that mold, because normally you write songs and every other line rhymes. But here's an example, when somebody brought it to my attention. This guy used to play drums in the band I was in. He said that, listen to REM's Losing My Religion. That song has no rhyme scheme at all. And I said, you kidding me? He said, no, listen to it. I listened to it. Absolutely no rhyme scheme. And it worked, It's amazing. They kind of went outside the box and, it worked. So I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to do a series of them. But just study the records, as far as what are they doing. Okay, there's an intro musically. Here's the first verse. Then right into the first, after the first verse, here comes the verse, the chorus, or the hook, as they call it. Then I go back into another verse. And then I go into the chorus. Then I do a bridge. And the bridge is kind of basically, it's a part of the song that's different from the other part because of the chord progressions, again, have changed, to give it a little relief as far as being monotonous. Because here's a good example of that, and I'm not knocking this style of music. Techno and house music is basically geared towards making you dance on the dance floor. That's great. That's basically what they're trying to do, and they do a good job of that. And what I won't say I don't like about it, but what I find about house music and techno music is there is no rhyme. There is no bridge or changing of chord progressions. It's just a groove for 5 straight minutes, and it doesn't change. It varies as far as maybe the kick might fall out or the snare might kick in or some extra stuff on top, but it's the same chords for like 5 minutes. And again, not knocking it. It's geared towards just making you dance. It's not geared towards lavish arrangements and, different structure of chord progression. So, that's what it's for. But that's what you want to do. You want to just kind of, take a little time with the lyrics, just keep going, keep building, because you're just constantly building. Today you might come up with one idea, put it on paper, then you give your brain a break, then you come back another day or so, read it again, your brain is kind of fresh, and then you add to it. You keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. So I'm going to sign off now because I don't want to sound like I'm rambling now. But I'm going to do a series of these videos where I'm going to get a little more in-depth as far as the structure of song, because once you get it, you really never lose it, and you just continue to write music. So I hope this has been helpful, and until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.